Hey, good Monday evening, everybody. Welcome in studio. Rosema with Braddy, the founder of the Austin Matthews fan club here on a Monday night to kick off a new week of action. I was just telling you on my drive in, I live in Elmira, about 40, 45 minutes from here, a little country town. May have visited the racetrack in the past. It's snowing pretty good when I left. I got here, it was fine. I thought, okay, maybe it's not going to come. Well, now it's starting to come here.
Where I live, it's 25. It's sunny. The golf course, I played 18 this morning.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you checking temperature inside your house? Is that what you're doing? Is this on the golf simulator?
Yeah, but you're right. 'Tis the season for changing elements, isn't it? And, at this time of the year, we're actually below seasonable temperatures for right now. And I keep looking at the grass thinking, it's got to get going here at some point because I know you're itching to get on the golf course, and hopefully we'll be able to do that in the not-too-distant future. But, yeah, they are calling for some potential snow flurries, maybe about a centimeter tonight when everything is all
couple of
said
days
and
this
done.
week like that.
Yeah, some freezing rain potentially, too. We don't need any more of that. But, yeah, but the good news is we have some great races tonight. I thought Saturday's card was fantastic. Dougie McNair obviously had a big night at the office.
Dougie had a great weekend.
Races.
Louis had a great weekend.
Yep.
They both have 3 again on Saturday?
Dougie won the finale, too, didn't he? Yeah, he won with Carmen's a lot worse than the last.
Yeah, so Dougie had 3 for sure.
And he won the New Holland, and he won the Preferred.
Yeah, it was a good payday.
Yeah, absolutely. And tonight we get the Preferred, and I'll toss the ball back into your court here because the one thing that has been kryptonite for Amigo Volo has been the layoff. And I know he obviously looked really good last time out, but he was on a bit more of a regular rotation. Do you think he's maybe a little bit vulnerable here tonight?
That's what I find. I find he kind of works his way back into shape almost, you know.
Yeah.
He's got nothing to prove. He's still going to race well tonight. Just remains to be seen whether or not he'll win right off the bat because he hasn't raced since early March now, right? So it's
the New Holland kind of kills it for a horse like him, right? Because those horses go in that series, and the Preferred doesn't fill. Yeah,
another horse that could have joined the Preferred this week, but opted to say, you know what, we'll just put another qualifier under the belt. Logan Park, we know what he's gearing up for. We're probably going to see him for a couple of races here, as long as the Preferred is going to fill. But Logan Park obviously getting ready for the Elite Lop and his invitation, and that's going to be at the end of May. But another good-looking qualifier here. I mean, what was it, like 55-3 back half?
Right, and the thing is, like, you can't look at what's behind him because it's such a small field.
Yep.
But it's the time. He dropped 2 seconds from what he did last week.
Yep.
So that's substantial. I mean, obviously, and no urging here with Dougie.
You see where Dougie's whip is, and he just looks great. I mean, he looks fit. Sound, everything. He just looks really, really good. So Logan Park, everything coming back great for that fellows trainee for now, and we're excited to see him on the track before he heads across the pond. No Control back in action too for our recently retired Tan McAuliffe. His charge.
He's back down as trainer of this horse though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so it looks like that's what he's going to do. Is little hobby horse, No Control, with a pretty good effort today.
That's a pretty good hobby horse,
isn't it though?
I'll tell you that. Anytime you can have a hobby horse that races on a Saturday night on a fairly regular basis. Now, I kept waiting for him, Chad, in January and February to get one of those victories in the Preferred. He really had one good race against high-level competition. It was a little bit disappointing. So maybe they found something with them. They backed off a little bit. We'll see if he can get back on track, you know, because he's had some issues in the past that have led to layoffs and stuff like that. He's kind of gone off form, Tad. So we'll see if maybe now he can get back with his A game.
Yeah, based on that qualifier, it's a step in the right direction for him. We'll see what Tan and the Connections decide to do. Will it be another morning prep, or will he just drop right in the box?
That's the problem with a horse like him, though, is you got to face the tough guns. So you got, like, if you go in there, you got to be tight.
Yeah, exactly. And he theoretically could drop into the box for this weekend. Classes for him would be carded on a Saturday, of course. Draw for that is going to be tomorrow, the double draw for the Friday, Saturday. And our eyes are going to be interested to see what comes out for the weekend, especially on Saturday, because on the 29th, we were supposed to have a mandatory payout for the high five. But that card got canceled. The last, 6 it was, I think, on the card got canceled. Or no, it was even more than that because we were supposed to have 14. That's right.
That's right.
It was even more than that. Yeah. So anyway, we knew it was going to get rescheduled. We just didn't know exactly when. Well, now it was announced today by our communications team that this high five mandatory is going to be this Saturday, April the 12th. In the finale, I'm not sure what we're going to have as far as how many races, but it's not going to get frozen like it has been in the past. You can continue to play it tonight, Thursday, and Friday, and if it doesn't go, then we'll have that mandatory on Saturday, but 180,000 almost going into it tonight.
And usually the race office tries to get 12 for a race like that. And
Yep.
We'll see if that does continue or not. So would you rather have post 10 or post 11 or 12?
I don't want the second tier. No.
But I don't want the 10 either.
I'd rather be on the gate.
Yeah?
I know if I owned a horse, I'd want to be on the gate and we see it many times with the second tier in these mandatory situations. You're obviously at the mercy of what's going on in front of you, but you're already spotting lengths, right? Or at least a length in there. And it's not the easiest spot to lead from the inside to begin with.
Right.
And if you're the 11, you got to follow 1 or 2. If you're the 12, you got to follow 3 or 4. And so, sometimes your options are very limited. And next thing you know, you're in the first turn, you're 9th and 10th or whatever it may be.
Do you have any theory as to why post 6 is so good? Is it like right on the right portion of the track? Is it on the crown of the track so they get a bit of a head start? They get that running start? Like, why is that? Because I would think, like, being behind the gate with the exhaust going in my face, that would be a bit of a detriment.
Well, historically, the 2 best posts are 5 and 6.
Yep.
And as Randy's pointed out here, one of the things about 5 and 6 that certainly helps is that they're right on the car.
Yeah.
So that part of the gate isn't going to move at all. There could be some sway in the gate inside and outside, that could maybe throw a horse off, whatever it may be, but you're on a solid part of the gate that's going to stay constant. Yeah. You can line up right on it. You're not going to worry about, my horse, is this going to whip back into his face a little bit? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's got a big part of it as well.
But it's been the best for years.
Yeah.
Like death, taxes, and post 6. That's the guarantees in life, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just the way it goes. And sometimes, Chad, I'll admit, like when I get stuck in a race, if I'm stuck between, say, like a 2 and a 6, if it's 50-50, I'll go to the 6 just because of the draw.
It's unbelievable how often it happens to come through.
Yep.
From those post positions, both pace and trot. All right, we were talking about Dougie and Louie having good weekends. I would expect to see both of their names in our stats pack over the last week. What's been going on? So let's have a look at the drivers and trainers and what they've been doing. And there are Louie and Dougie. So Louie 12 wins. What a great week! 28% win average. James had 8, good for 20%, but not good enough to win this week. Dougie was 7, 28%. Keep in mind, Doug didn't drive Thursday. Right. So he was only here Friday and Saturday, and then it would have been, I guess this goes back to probably last Monday and Saturday, maybe. Is that what it is?
And no Watt tonight.
Yeah, no Watt tonight. I'm not sure where Louie is tonight.
And
but
Travis, he had 3 of those 4 wins on Saturday's card.
Yeah. No, their barn picking up, certainly heating up. So keep an eye on that. The 20 Beaton barn heating up as well.
Wow.
And so as we go to the trainer side of things, I would expect to see Jody here for Team Cullen. She is our leading trainer right now. And yes, 4 wins. Kyle Fellows, he had a nice week as well. Carmen with a trio of winners, and Dave Maneri. Has Dave not been on this yet this year?
I know. I like one of his horses tonight, like Nazaire tonight.
Okay.
Maybe turn the tables on Beastoni just because of the draw.
Yeah. And he's got Nazare in the finale, and I think he's...
Was it Nazare? Is that the correct pronunciation?
Well, that's what is... when you Google it, I think it's a town in Portugal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Listen, I often like, I'm sure you as an announcer like it too. If we are saying it wrong, please tell us. We will not be offended by any means, because I want to make sure I get it right. But
don't be mean.
Yeah, just don't be mean.
No.
I just say, what's wrong with you? Fail English class? Like, yeah. So.
But Dave's closing in on a milestone. I think he had that Brew Hanover won the New Holland on Saturday.
Now, is he staying here, do you think?
I've heard that there's a good chance that he is staying.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and he'd obviously be in the Open.
Yeah.
But Dave would have him for now. But he's got Irvin Hanover that I would think is going to probably be working his way back soon.
And
others, what you're looking at, American History he's got right now. So it's an embarrassment of riches. He's got, but I mean, this guy's always working too, right? But I think after that win with Brew Hanover Saturday, I think Dave's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's 2 away from 1,000.
That's a nice milestone.
It is. Yeah.
Speaking of that was cool. Ovechkin yesterday, his celebration.
Yeah.
That was really awesome. They stopped the game and everything. That's a little awkward. They stopped the game, but I mean, that was a record, Chad, that I never thought would be broken.
I agree. I mean, I don't think the points will ever be broken.
No.
But I agree with you, especially at this day and age. With
they're so much better, the goalies now, and the systems,
and just everybody all around too.
100%.
But that is, and Gretzky said it yesterday too, that he doesn't think like that'll be a tough record to break for sure.
Did you hear what Gretzky's owner bought him when he broke the record? A Rolls Royce.
Oh, really?
Yeah. when he set the record. And that's what he was joking with Ovechkin. He's like, I don't know what the owner's going to buy you, but I got a Rolls Royce out of the deal.
Wow. Way to put the pressure on the owner, eh?
I know.
Jeez. Anyways. Okay, so we got a 10-race card tonight. 6 trots, 4 paces. We've got the preferred coming up in race number 9, so that'll be the feature. We'll get to that. We've got some replays dialed up.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
you started this.
Did our producer Ryan Corner really have to show us that?
Wow.
Like he's just like he's probably like, listen, guys, you sound a little too happy. Let's take some wind out of your sails here a little bit. So anyway, here's a look at what's going on in the opener. Wagering is open, so we see money on a couple of the morning line favorites. Radio Lab, Top Mask. We see Desiree Jones. Looks like. She's. I know she was training in Florida for the winter.
I'm sure she's thrilled to be back right now with that weather out there.
Yeah, if she is here with this horse, I'm sure she's probably like, can we just go back for a couple more weeks? But anyway, did you go either direction?
I went Top Mask. Okay. I think he's the best horse. It's whether he's ready or not. That qualifier looks good from a time point of view. I mean, look at the competition he was facing last season. I think he's potentially ready to go right off the bat. He gets a great draw here today. And the reason why I'm picking him is I'm kind of against Radio Lab tonight because I've been a fan of Radio Labs, but I think he really hit the peak of hhis form, and now he's really tailed off. I picked him last time out, and I thought he was flat. I realized I was against way tougher than what he's going to face here today, but I just didn't think he had much go to that late portion of that mile. So I'm going to put him third, and I'll put Crystal Baller. If he can keep it together tonight, I think he's a factor. Obviously, he's had some issues staying on the trot as of late, but I mean, if he can keep it together, he's definitely capable of being this bunch, I would think. Yeah,
and one of the things I'll say about Carmen Osceola, when he ever has a horse that for some reason gets off form, and now I think it's been a combination of, this horse was, because he'd been racing so well for them, he'd gone up the class ladder, then he was in some tough company, ended up being, probably him not quite on his game, but also just tougher company, and he's lost his confidence a little bit.
100%.
But Carm, I always find one of the best at all of a sudden then reigniting it and getting them back. So this is an ideal spot for him to get going again, especially if a horse like Top Mass maybe isn't ready to go. He might just need one anyway, but you also have to factor in that was, when he qualified at Sunshine Meadows, that was the 29th, so that's a week ago Saturday.
It's tight.
You got to think at the earliest he ships back the next day.
Yeah.
Even if that, I mean, you got that long ship home from Florida. You could get sick. Who knows? That's, things that you just have to factor in there. But 3 and 5 are the main players, it looks like, on the board. As we go to race number 2, group of pacers here. Nominators at 2,500 in their last 5. Group of 7 that are going to line up. You've got the free-legged Beach and Lindy. He's getting back to work. Hasn't raced since February the 24th. Missed all of March due to some sickness. He won one time last year. He already does have a win this season. I'm just not sure, what to expect of him.
Yeah.
For the bench like this. I think you're probably feeling the same way. Do you happen to go with someone maybe a little, recent as far as schedule?
I went with Heave Away. Yeah, has a more recent schedule. I thought got roughed up pretty good last time out too. That was not the easiest of journeys. But I don't know about you, but back when I went to high school, they had grade 13, and I took calculus for like 3 weeks, and I had to drop out of it because it was too tough. This is like calculus to me. There's numbers in here, and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, I can't figure this race out. Like, I like Heave Away, but I'm not approaching this horse with a great deal of confidence. I just think it's not tonight. I don't know when he's going to find a better opportunity to beat this bunch.
So kids, if calculus isn't working out, you can become a successful commentator.
That's right.
Here for many, many years. You've been here 40, 50 years, something like that.
Yeah. I took a class called finite math. They don't even have that anymore. Anyways, whatever.
You're such a putz.
Yeah. So and I put Bayfield Beach second. I think Beach and Lindy might need one. But I could be wrong in there.
The one thing I noticed with Heave Away last week, and I know he was getting out of the claiming handicap and into the bottom level condition, which is what he's at here tonight, but he got bet down. He got bet down early, ended up ultimately being 8-1, but it was a lot lower than he had been lately, but he got used multiple times. So I'm like, he was good to go.
He was.
But he just, like you say, he just got used a little bit too much in that contest here. We'll see if he bounces back. I always get intrigued by the new recruits that Hensley's have. They do a nice job getting these horses from out west. Obviously, they know the parts very well. Needed that last one. And to me, the fact that they went to Flamborough, which is right, basically next door to them, you get a start, you shed some rust, and now they bring them here, and it's not that tough a spot.
Right, and I guess I look at it, but I'm thinking, can Harry G win this class? Can Ham Sandwich win this class? I don't know right now.
Yeah, I got you.
But you're right. And maybe that horse might have needed one. That might have just been, a stepping stone towards tonight's race. I think the 8-1's too high on that horse for sure.
Okay. Well, that's race number 2. Back to the trot. We go in the 3rd. This is where we start our early pick 4. We've got a group of 7 in this contest. This is the first time we're going to dial up the replays in here. And it's going to be a decent one because we're going to get a good look at a bunch of them coming into the most recent race. Now, Linus, who, missed all that time, is a couple of years of action, 2 years plus, was very well prepared by the connections and good to go in that March 14th outing, but then missed a couple of weeks. And I got thinking when I didn't see him in the box, I was like, obviously something physically happened to him prior, and that's why he was sidelined. I hope nothing happened to him again. But I'll tell you what, he looked even better when he did come back March the 31st and ended up winning a 57-1.
He did. I had a chance to catch up with Team Wilson, and I talked about this horse with them, and just the fact they had to be so patient with him.
Yeah.
They missed so much time, but they obviously thought.
And the owner too, right? Yeah.
Great deal of talent now. It's paying off in a big, big way. And on March the 14th, you and I worked together, and you picked them on that day, and I thought you were nuts. But the money showed and won, and then last time, as you said, looked even better. Now, the one reason why I don't have any hair is because handicapping horses will do that to you. Either it turns gray or you lose it. You still have a nice head of hair. But Penn and Teller Hanover, $500,000 they paid for this horse. Comes home beautifully on March the 14th. Last quarter in 26-3. Chad, he had no go until very late in the mile here. And it was frustrating and interesting at the same time. So right now, the second over journey is going to work here for Linus, who's going to eventually win here with Jones doing the driving. Penn and Teller Hanover was bet as the heavy favorite here on this occasion. But look at Waugh, he's kind of looking, but it's not like the horse is really on top of everybody else in this race. But now just watch as we get towards the outside. Now there's a bit of a burst in here, but it's too late.
Yeah.
It just seemed like
Keep the run out, too, if we can.
Yeah, it just seemed like Waugh had so much more confidence. The start prior to that, there it is there. That's a good replay. But I think he knew he had a lot more 2 weeks ago than what he had last week.
Yeah.
Because he could have pulled a lot earlier than he did. So maybe they've done some work with him, and I'm hoping he's going to be a little bit better here today. I kind of view him as a bit of a bounce-back prospect here tonight.
Now, I know, some people, too, on social media, they're quick to just think, what a lack of an effort there for Penn and Teller Hanover and the connections, heavily bet. You could see it. Louis chasing him. He just...
Yeah,
I mean, Louis trying to get him to go. He just wouldn't respond until it was really too late. I mean, there was less than the 16th of a mile to go before he finally said, all right, I'm going to start putting in an effort. And once he did start trotting, then he looked pretty good. So there's some quirks there with this guy. Good news is he hasn't missed any time. He's still on a regular rotation, so that's good. Again, bred to the nines. I still won't be surprised if this guy turns out to be a good one for them.
And that's been the story of his career, Chad. He has been good or he's been really disappointing.
Yeah.
And that's why he's where he is right now, and that's probably why they gelded him early on in his career, and they are probably just as frustrated as the bettors are because they put a lot more money into this horse.
Now, interesting to note, so no Louis, right?
So
Tyler Jones, who I think does some riding for Luke Blais.
Yeah, he was named on that
out
horse.
there. Yeah, he got named and opted to stick to Linus, and I like that he did that. Bob McClure, he's driven for Determination many times before. Actually won the other night for that undefeated one.
Yep.
He picked up the drive. The name escapes me now. But anyway, able to 3 for 3. That trotter is now. So
and that sucks for Tyler too, because that's 2 nice horses he could have chose from. In that race,
exactly.
But I don't blame him for still sticking with the hot horse right now.
Yep. All right, that's the third. Back to the pace we go in the fourth race. Pick 6 gets underway here. Lately we've had the pick 6 wager getting into the final leg where you're thinking, there's a chance of a carryover, but then it doesn't, which then in turn, even though the pools haven't been massive, whoever is winning them, it's very few tickets, if not solo tickets. There ended up being decent chunks of money.
Yeah.
$8-9 grand, whatever it may be, $6 grand, So it gets underway here tonight. We'll see what we've got in store. Group of 9 on the pace. 12 to 16,000 is the claiming handicap price. Somewhere in Tuscany. This was one that missed a whole bunch of time as well. Mm-hmm. And then, we got claimed there back on March the 3rd. Hasn't been able to win for the new connections just yet. It's a slight drop down for him, but with that being said, he's got to start outside. I think you could, try and get a price against him.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get a number on Mock Impact.
Okay.
This horse missed 3 weeks because of sickness, and that wasn't all that bad of a race. You're going against JJ Tommy, Halmac Victor was dropping on that day. I know one at a big price, but you could have had that one. Let's Get Rocked was the heavy favorite on that occasion. I just think it's found a bit of an easier group with a draw. It's absolutely terrible. Kyle's Arts. It seems like for this level, he can win, but when he moves up to the tougher claiming handicap, he has a bit of a tougher time. But I think against this caliber of competition, he might be able to do some good things. My long shot, who I don't have on my selections here, I'm very curious to see what we've got with Speak of War, because on the April 4th program, he was just in way too tough of a race. He's in a much more easier spot here today as far as I'm concerned. So let's see if maybe he's able to turn things around a little bit. Yeah, way better draw.
And I don't mind him coming back on short rest because he went March 17th to April 4th, right? Yeah. So he's basically off almost 3 weeks going into that race. Wouldn't have got a ton out of it because he had the 10-hole and was a non-factor throughout the entire mile. But he could be good to go here tonight for a better piece.
And then we got Favreau Sealster, who's been really rolling, albeit at the B track, but now is going to give it a go here on the big. Look at the year this horse had last year. A really, really good campaign. So.
Well, and Daryl's had him before under his care. He's claimed him back, and instead of saying, well, let's keep him at London, let's bring him here where the price is going to be up a little bit more and see if he can stack up against this kind of a group.
This is the time of year to give it a go.
Does pick up James.
Yep. Yeah,
that's
that
not going to
doesn't
hurt him.
The situation.
All right, that's a look at the 4th race, starting our pick 6 wager. Race number 5 is where we head to next as we are back to the Square Gators here in this 5th race. 6 double dipping is scratched in this contest. We're down to a field of 9. Up and away, Blue Chip is the morning line favorite. Coming in here after a couple of unsuccessful attempts at Flamborough Downs. Now, the issue for this guy here is that, whether this is easier company for him tonight, which, based on what he was facing last time he was here, it certainly is. But if he makes another break, he's got to go to the qualifiers.
I know. I picked him, and I'm going to watch the race with a blindfold on because I don't want to see what happens with him because if he stays flat, he wins, I think. But that's a big if. And it's even a bigger if he's 2-1 or 9-5, and I got to take a low price on him in here, but I reluctantly did take him. I probably should have taken No Angel Like Me because I think she's way too high on the line in here. Her last race is a total toss-out. I mean, look, she's against McCallum last time, though. She can't beat that horse. And now she's out of the pop-up series here, and she's back in a spot where she can do some damage, and Tyler knows her very, very well in here, and she's probably going to be a better price. Now, Boom and Bust, I picked this horse on March the 31st. I can't remember if we were working together that night or not, but I picked the horse, and maybe, it was Randy picked that horse too, because you were calling that night. And we picked the horse based on how well he raced back on March the 17th. He finished 4th. Now, he was involved in that no contest race, but he actually broke shortly after the start, before the race was called off as a no contest. So he would not have won that race last time out anyways, but there's a bunch coming out of that no contest race.
Yeah, Jokic is interesting. Yeah. Getting Trevor in the bike. Actually, a couple guys going that direction. What about Market Bank? That's a big drop for him.
It is. And it was the draw that kind of threw me. That gets a little bit better here today. But absolutely, he's capable. But he's been a little bit disappointing to me, Chad, since coming back off the layoff, albeit against much tougher competition.
This is just such a softer spot for him, albeit he's got to race horses that maybe have some deeper resumes.
Yeah, he's like a two-time winner.
Right? I mean, he's a 4-year-old with 59,000 to his credit, where some others have a little bit more stacking up. But Market Banker could come to life in a spot like this in race number 5. Race 6 to head to the back half of the cards. Another pick 5 that'll start here. We'll stick with the trotters. Nominators of 8,000 last 5. Just being informed, Dagfinn Henriksen not here tonight, so he will not be driving this one. So as of right now, it's a TBA. I can tell you that later on in the preferred, Doug McNair is actually picking up the drive on Perfetto here tonight.
That's a nice pickup drive.
I wonder if Doug's ever driven him before. I'd have to look back. I mean, it's rarely not Dagfinn when Dagfinn's got him. But anyway, so no Dagfinn Henriksen. Nacy right now is the morning line favorite at 3-1. Stays in the same classification, was second to All Gas No Brakes. In that last group, and All Gas No Brakes was expected, to be the best in that contest. So, best of the rest is not bad. He doesn't have to deal with All Gas No Brakes here tonight. Is that enough to put him on top for you?
For me, it is. Yeah. He raced great, I thought. He can't beat that horse, I don't think. When All Gas No Brakes is on his A game, I just don't think Nacy can beat that one. But, since being acquired by the Cullen Outfits, you've got that one bad race, but a much better race last time out when finishing in the second place position, so I don't mind that one's chances. I think Mystic could be a little bit better here today. That was a deceptively good race last time out, made up a lot of ground and probably needed that most recent race as well. Shadrach Hanover, I don't know what led to that drifting down the stretch last time out in the pop-up final. That probably cost him second and against Archimedes in there because nobody was going to beat McCallum on that day. But a lot of people like Cold Snaps tonight. I am not in her corner. She's capable, but...
I'm intrigued only because, obviously James just getting this drive tonight because Louis not here, right? So he had an opportunity listed down to drive. She's had some braking issues lately, so she's trying to stay flat here tonight, but he could have driven Shadrack, could have driven Bella Cavallo. Bella Cavallo, we know he sticks to many times a lot of other options. So I'm not surprised he didn't go Shadrack. I'm just surprised that he went away from Bella Cavallo.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I think Cold Snaps... I just don't know where she is right now. She hasn't been minor manners recently, which is a huge problem. But hopefully Blake's got that corrected right now.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe this will end up being a little more competitive than we think. But Nacy looks like the one to beat on paper based on that most recent effort. 7th race start of the late pick 4. Trotters here. Nominators of 15,500 last 5. So pretty good group. Just kind of a couple of notches below that preferred level. We do have some preferred types in here. Spartan General, who did make a miscue in his latest, but he's been pretty good. So far this year in limited outings. He'll try to bounce back. And I'm not concerned about him at this level. It's just he's obviously got to mind his manners, but there's some pretty good ones in here. And Sid the Kid tonight, Tyler Borth was listed. He sticks to the aforementioned all gas, no brakes. So Sid the Kid tonight will get Doug McNair.
I find that Dougie sometimes will wake up horses the first time he's driven them, or the first time he's driven them in a long, long time. And it's not like Sid the Kid needs to improve all that much. Ben and his trotters this year have just been so good. Now, trip handicappers, I think, are going to be all over my buddy Sam in this spot. Now, we're going to show you the replay in here, and we all want do-overs in life, and I think Scotty Young would love to have a do-over in this race. So he's in the pocket, and Perfetto is right in behind this one. And Scotty likes to stay in, and Perfetto goes. Now Scotty's in deep water. Because now here comes everybody, and now he's stuck in behind. I think it was Sparks Fly that was coming in the mile here on this day. And Sparks Fly stops right into Scotty's face in here. So right now you've got Perfetto, who's such a classy horse.
He's not going to tire first.
Exactly. Over. And now Scotty's like, oh, man, now what do I do? Because now I can't go. Where do I go? I'm looking for room. Still can't get anywhere. Now eventually we're going to float towards the outside. Here's the one is Sid the Kid, who's going to split horses here late. I just think Scotty got stopped at the absolute worst time. Now I would have put Scotty on top, have the horse drawn better here tonight. But post 9 with a trotter, I just don't know. But I think a lot of trip handicappers are going to be all over my buddy Sam because of that trip last time out.
Yeah, even our Peaky Blinders, who made a break early on, he raced pretty well to still be back up there. It's not like you're at a cheap class where you can make up ground because you're just better. I mean, this is a pretty deep bunch. Yeah. And at the end of it, despite, kind of spotting them some lengths early on, ends up only being beat 2.5 in there. So he could be an interesting one. Sid the Kid, I don't mind that pick that you got. This maybe is probably the one I'd be looking forward to the most tonight on the card.
It's the race of the night.
Just because you have some pretty good quality horses, obviously. You could make a case for a whole bunch of them in here, including my buddy Sam, who you talked about. And the one thing that we see is Scott Young gets quite a few opportunities for Ben Bergeron. And he's had, success with Sid the Kid and others, obviously. And when he opted away from him for my buddy Sam last week, I thought, he's speaking pretty big volumes for my buddy Sam, I think, right?
Yeah, and that's got to be tough because Ben's given him a lot of good horses.
Yeah,
and he's
100%.
driving for a smaller outfit here tonight. But my buddy Sam, with a clean trip, was going to be right there in the mix of things.
8th race, Pacers, to kick off the final pick 3 is a nominators at 2,500 last 5, bottom level condition. And the one that's likely going to get certainly looked at a lot more here tonight than he has been in many recent starts is the 6 Going Fast, simply on the changes. He goes to new connections. We've seen Des DeCoeur and Ryan Willis team up with, multiple horses this year and have success immediately.
Yep.
And now they've got a new recruit. Des makes wholesale changes. You get Doug McNair in the bike. You get Lasix added. But is this a horse that's maybe set up to get overbet?
Probably. Dirty Little Piglet, they had success with that horse just the other day, right?
Yeah.
I think it was Des
and
Ryan
Dirty Little
Willis.
Piglet. I'm thinking of
They've had a bunch,
Day Trader was one that they had better with Pride. Another one. So
now, we saw Lasix have a big impact on the card on Saturday. Mood Control, ever since getting Lasix, has been a totally different horse. We saw one of the beaten horses get on the Lasix, ran off the screen. Yeah. So let's see if maybe that helps out here going fast here in this spot. And as you said, they've changed everything but the horse when it becomes this particular event. And the good news is, Chad, this field's just not that tough. I just don't think it's come up all that salty. I've got Party in the Shadows is my second selection. The horse doesn't win very often, just a 2-time winner last season. I've also got Better of the West right there in the mix of things with a bit of a better draw. That's where John's going to go. And you were actually talking to John driving in today, and you guys.
It's just a horse that was live in between horses
at the end of the
late.
mile, you thought this horse had some go.
He had a tough. I mean, he's just been a poor drawing horse lately, and it's been resulting in slow starts. Now, the rail's not the best, but you'd rather be there, or at least to try and get off to a better start than where you have been. Right, so
for sure.
Better the West could certainly be a liver horse here tonight. I don't think you're going to see anywhere near 50-1 like you did last week, but you're still going to get an okay price because Going Fast to me is going to get bet a lot, especially with Dougie driving.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, let's have a look at the 9th race feature. It is the preferred trot. As we mentioned, no Dagfinn Henriksen, so this star pupil of his, Perfetto, is going to be driven by Doug McNair. So, Dougie, who arguably has the top older trotter on the grounds in Logan Park, but he's just kind of preparing in some morning preps right now. Gets to drive Perfetto at this top classification. He is coming in off of a win, the 32nd of his career. You've got Ghostly Casper returning. I think he looked good in his qualifiers. He's taking nice step forwards. Even the other Bayer Jean pupil. And then Amigo Volo. It's the $1 million question. Is this guy going to be ready to go despite having not raced in just over a month?
Yeah, and it's amazing because of the New Holland Series, all these horses have had qualifiers, like a Royalty Beer, like a Quebec Hanover. Like an Amigo Volo as well, just because the class doesn't fill because you get those horses going in New Holland as well. Now, Amigo Volo, he did look like his old self, I thought, back on March the 31st. Got a great drive, courtesy of James on that day. But let's go to the replay in regards here to, we're going to start off with Quebec Hanover here in this spot. Now, the horse is going to cut it, and who beats this one? Logan Park is going to beat this one. Is this Quebec Hanover first?
This is Ghostly. We're going to go Ghostly first here.
Yeah, pardon me. Ghostly Casper. So this is Ghostly Casper. So this is where Tyler cuts the mile and is able to win it. And just the body language is great. He's just sort of sitting back here, being a passenger here with Ghostly Cat, and we know what quality of animal he is, right?
And when he's right, he's good.
Yeah.
He can trot with the top trotters here on the circuit. And to me here, I mean, he's finishing tight line. Borth isn't even calling on him.
So full of himself. Yeah.
It's his second qualifier. So I like the double quali. I'm not too concerned about the time away. I know it's his first of the year, and I know it's the top class level, but the double qualifier, I feel like Ben will have him ready to go. And then this is the one you were talking about, where Quebec, he loves to be on the front a lot of times, and he has been in the two qualities. Now, the one where he ran away, he just didn't have anybody that was anywhere near his level of competition. So that's why he was just all by himself. At least here, he got to go in against more of his own kind and still, chopping it. And it takes a Logan Park that ends up beating him. But I think he's still qualifying pretty well. To put it into perspective, both of the Bayer Jean pupils that day trotted in 57-2, Ghostly Casper and Quebec Hanover.
Yeah, and let's face it, like if you're driving, a horse in here like a Quebec Hanover, you're not going to go to the bottom of the well in a qualifier either, right?
And that's James with Amigo there too, right?
Yeah, so
Amigo's fourth, and I think he got out of that what he wanted.
Exactly. Mission accomplished. I would agree with you. I'm just trying to get Ghostly Casper, and I think the price might be right.
Yeah, and this might be a race too where the board tells you, look at those will pays.
Yeah.
Right, to see. And I think specifically into the Bayer Jean horses, because both of them obviously playing with, some stale dates. One obviously a lot more than the other, but the double qualifier coming.
And poor Scotty again loses one of his buddies in McAllen because he gets a chance to drive Quebec Hanover.
Well, and this was probably tough because he had just gotten McAllen back, and then obviously we know what he did through the pop-up. Now, this isn't pop-up action. This is going to be tougher, but he is racing with a lot of confidence. And then a horse like Quebec Hanover who, he's just driving tonight because Louis not here.
Yeah.
He opts for the 1 week, opportunity behind Quebec Hanover in here, and might just have a great relationship with Chihuahua too, where Chihuahua just says, well, next week if he drops down or something, you can have the drive back. But Billy was driving this horse before too, so maybe this is Billy's going forward.
The ebbs and flows of the game too.
Yeah, exactly.
I think McAllen could win at the level lower than this. I just don't know if he can win the preferred or not.
Okay,
but we'll find out. It's coming up a little bit. He's obviously razor sharp right now.
10th and final to close it out. It's a claiming handicap, $30,000 to $40,000. And it features the high five. And if you haven't heard, it was announced earlier today that a mandatory payout is scheduled for this Saturday, April the 12th, in our finale. That draw will be tomorrow, so check Standardbred Canada for details on that to see. I don't know if we're going to have 10, 11, 12 races more. Who knows? But see what kind of a 12-horse field is assembled for that mandatory. It's going to continue to grow if it doesn't go because we're not going to freeze it. So you can play it tonight, Thursday, and Friday. B. Stoney, what a good claim it was for Shane Barrington, though. But now Gary Murner's going to try and, continue the success with this guy. He's just white hot right now.
It's so funny. I was working with Randy last week during the pregame show. I said, Randy, how come nobody ever claims B. Stoney? And then he said one claim entered. I'm like, oh, boy, I feel terrible because somebody dropped a claim in on him. But they get to go right back in the same class, which was nice. The problem is, post 9. Now, he might be good enough to overcome it because he's so good right now, and he doesn't need the front end. He can come from off the pace.
Yeah, he's got versatility.
He's so versatile. We'll go back to his most recent race, and Nazare, is that what we're going with?
That's what I call him, Nazare.
Okay,
yeah.
Nazare, that's what we'll go with in here. He had a pocket trip, and for a couple of seconds, Chad, I thought maybe, just maybe, he's going to get to be Stoney, but no, wasn't meant to be. But you know what? He had a pocket trip on this day, and he raced well. I just think the reason why I'm picking him in here today, just thinking that he might be able to turn the tables just because of the draw. It's so tough to win here from post 9 and post 10. It's got that cute, you don't see too many standardbreds with all that white on their nose like that. But we've got that here with Nazare in here. He comes out in here. I think B. Stoney's just kind of playing with him a little bit too, but
you can see James body
just
language.
sitting.
He doesn't seem concerned.
Yeah, but you know what? Nazare,
he's measured.
He's close. He's going to be better here tonight, but maybe the draws might have a bit of a impact in how the race unfolds. I just think we're going to get a bit of a better price here today on this one, so I'm going to try and beat B. Stoney here on this race.
Yeah, could. A couple others to maybe consider. Corey Giles off the claim can be effective. He's got a couple in here, but he's got the 6 Helmac Victor off of the claim. And then Thrilling Times, I know, he's back into this claiming handicap, but this was a horse that just returned, was able to win right off the bat, coming back off of the shelf. And Rene Barassa's barn, I know it's only been limited starters.
Rolling.
But, yeah, exactly. Yep. Doing very, very well. So if you're looking for maybe some alternatives to the more likely, bet horses in a, let's say a B. Stoney and Nazare, maybe a horse like Thrilling Times inside.
Didn't work out for Let's Get Rock last time out. I know he's facing tougher, but he's capable. JJ Tommy didn't get out until it was too late last time out. It's facing tougher, though. The 7th and 10th races tonight, they're the best betting races of the night as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, we've got a solid-looking card.
Yep.
And hopefully Mother Nature just cooperates. I think wind maybe is going to be a factor, but we got 10 dashes coming up in a few minutes. Plays of the night, you've got a 4-pack here. You had a pretty good night the other night. I think 3 of your 4 plays of the night were able to score.
We'll take it. Do not expect the same tonight.
So you want to go 4 to 4.
Well, look at the money Top Mass just took. 3 to 5.
Yeah. Words out.
Yeah.
Words out. It's Brady's
off the bench ankle. My bounce back prospect is Penn and Teller Hanover. I'm going to bet Sid the Kid tonight. I think we get a number, and I think he's capable of winning that race with McNair. Okay. I'm going to try and beat B. Stoney with Nazare. So there's a look at my plays of the night here tonight.
All right. The other lineup, Ghislaine, John, and Garnet. Kyle Zart, better of the West. You talked about Johnny really liking that one. A party in the shadows. For Garnet as he and John go head-to-head in that 8th race. All the best to them and everybody else playing along in this Monday night. A new week of harness action is ushered in. First of 10 coming up in a few minutes. Jeff's got you covered in studio. I'm going to head upstairs and call the action. Good luck tonight.